Okay, so now got all of that done. Now we're going to create our signatures. Now the first signature of your book and the last signature of your book is going to have cardstock on the outside of it. Okay, so this is my first signature. So this is going to be on the outside of all of these. And I am not going to want a pocket, and I'm going to want a flap, but I'm not going to want a flap on the first page. Let's see. So this is my first page. So I'm going to want a flap here, up and down flap. Not going to want one here. I'm not going to make this one into a pocket. I'm going to make it into a flap. Okay, so I don't know. Hopefully this will make sense once I get it done for you. So all of these are 5 3/4 and 6, because I wanted my first page to be 6 inches long. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to score. This is my, if you imagine this nut here, this is my 9 inches. This is my front part and my back part. Okay. This part up here is turning into a flap. One part's going to get cut away, the other part's going to be a flap. So we're going to go 5 3/4 and 6, which makes our gusset. Okay, so this piece I'm not going to be using, and I'm going to cut that away. There's scissors here. Normally I would use my cutter, but I just wanted to show you this first one and the thought process behind it. So I'm cutting this away to the first score line, and then I'm going to cut the first up on the first score line and get rid of this. Okay, I'm also going to cut through to the second score line. So now this will get folded back like that. This will get folded like this. A little kink in there. And now we're going to do our score lines. And this score line. Oops. Make sure you're lining up on your sides as you're getting your score lines. So one thing with these score lines is that they are wide, so they can lean to one side of the score part or to the other, and not necessarily in the same area. So that's why sometimes when you score something, it doesn't sit perfectly. Alright, so now this is what we have. There's our 1/4 inch gusset. This is my first page of my book. It's going to open up like this. I'm going to set my other signatures inside of this, and then when you close it, I'll have a pocket. Alright, so now I'm just going to create Get these guys folded up. Again, you want to make sure you're getting this nice and straight because you don't want your pages to be callywompered. Okay. And the next one, nice and straight. Let me move this so you can see here. And then I'm going for the second one. Go ahead and do it this way. For the second one here, find it, line it up. Once you get one side of it lined up, you take it across like that. Also keep in mind when you're putting your signatures in, this is the top of the page, this is the bottom, so that you get them in there the way you wanted them in there. I've done that I don't know how many times. There's always a way around it if you do it, but you're usually losing, you know, the best part of the page or the tone of the page because you screwed up. Okay, get that square there. Okay, so now this is my first page, this is my second page, my third page, and my fourth page. You're going to set those all up inside there, and we're going to move on. So there's my first signature. Okay, this is the front of my first page of my book, and then you're going to have your different pages. Lots of white, as you see, and we're going to take care of that in the next step. So you're going to do that. That's that one. And then I'm setting the signatures aside. And now I have this 2-page one. I'm going to do the 1-4 and the 1-2, and then you can do the rest because this isn't rocket science. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and I've got this. Let's see, I know there's the one here. This is one that I had pre-scored incorrectly, so I'm going to have to be a little more careful with it. And it looks like this one, well, you know what? Supposedly good paper gone bad. But that's okay. And then I'm looking for my 1/8 of an inch score line, which is, normally this is easier than this, but like I said, this is the one that there it is. Get this straight. Hope I'm on film here. There's the 6. It's the one I'm on. And there's the 8 right there. Get it straight. There we go. Okay, so I have a little 1/8 of an inch gusset right there. Gives you a little bit of room, pocket, whatever, gives you a little bit of room in there. Now this one, I think we'll do a side flap and not a pocket. No, you know what? Wait a minute. Let's look at the paper. Side flap. Don't want a pocket. And the way I did these, I can't do side flaps. Okay, so don't score your paper till you know what kind of flap you want to do. Of course, if I did it this way, really shouldn't make a whole hill of beans, but okay. So I already got a top flap. I want a top flap. Of course I can add a side flap, but I'm going to cut this one off. Just going to put the score line in there. Make sure I'm straight. Off, and now I'm going to score my five and 7/8. Whoops, dadgummit. Careful with your heavier cardstock when you're kind of jumping back and forth between paper and cardstock. You're liable to be not pushing hard enough. Okay, so then I'm going to, these little 1/8 of an inch ones are oftentimes harder. Okay, so there's that. And then this 1/8 of an inch. Nice and straight. Feed it in. Okay, so there is my 1/8 of an inch there. And I believe I'll be fitting, let's see, we'll fit this one into this one. There we go. See, sometimes you're going to have it where it's going to fit better one way versus the other. So, yeah. Okay. So there's two. So now you can either cut your solid cardstock off and just have it the one way. You can do a top flap or a bottom flap. So go ahead and do those. If you need extra help with this, leave me a comment and I will go over it a little bit more. But basically, you're just figuring out if you want. And the way I did it, you can get a top flap, a bottom pocket, or because this is my 9 this way, this is my 12, which is what I need here. So I got it this way, or this way. I think with this, I think I'm going to utilize it and have, I also want to remember of my thickness. So I want to have as many down, you know, coming up so that the thickness is here, as well as coming down so the thickness is here. So I think what I'm going to do is my 4-page ones, I'm going to have pockets or flaps. My 2-page ones, I'm probably just going to cut off so that there's no thickness there. And so I'm allowed to have 2 top loading, and I'm allowed to have 2 bottom loading. And that way it's going to keep me even with my thicknesses, so that the book looks more uniform and it looks like a journal versus, not that I have anything against junky journals, I love them, I have several of them that I've made. So, but I'm looking for this to be more like a book than an overstuffed thing. Okay. All right, so get after it, people. You're going to take note of where your pages for this particular signature have been scored. This one is 6 and 6 1/4, because this is one of my 4-page. So then I'm going to score this. Here's my flap here, my 9-inch score line, 6 and 6 1/4. So my nice gusset. Now this one, I'm going to have a pocket fold to the inside and a pocket flip up to the outside. So for that instance, I'm going to cut down one side here, and cut over. Okay, and then here I'm going to make a score mark at 1/4 inch, just down to the 9-inch score mark, and that'll give me a flap to pull in. And I'm going to do the same thing here, 1/4 inch down to my 9-inch, and I'm creating the flap for my pocket. And I can do the same thing here, 1/4 inch in, just down to the 9-inch. Okay, then I'm going to snip. I'm going to snip it at an angle to the point of the score lines, and so I'm going to cut that off and do the same thing right here. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to trim this and trim this right to the point. I'm going to open this right there to a point there. I hope you're following what I'm doing here. I'll show you at the end. Cutting this up to the, I'm staying on the score line and cutting to the point of the score line to create my little flaps that are then going to, this one is going to fold in. Let me think now. This is my page. Yes. So this one's going to fold in. And you've got to remember the inside. Now I'm not gluing these, I'm just folding them because I will want to put paper on this. The inside of this is where your most of your room's going to be, okay? And I think I had the plan to put this one on the outside like this, and I think I will. Okay, so this one, I'll fold this in this way. Again, all I'm doing is getting my folds done. Fold this in this way, because I'm not going to want to have a stark white pocket on this page of my signature. Okay, now let's get, and by doing it that way, I'm keeping the bulk of it also away from the gussets. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead. This one is right at the gusset, which was the first pocket, and I'm thinking I'm not going to like that because it's going to be right at the gusset. And I made these where they were 1/4 of an inch away from the gusset. So I'm going to bring this in. I've got it all the way here and all the way up. I'm going to bring another score line here, 1/4 of an inch, so that it's going to be equal. I'm going to cut off this flap, which was actually originally the gusset part. There we go. So that was this piece. Just cut that away. Now I'm going to create the little flap so that I have a nice pocket. There we go. So now I'm going to fold this in. And there we go. So now that gives me a nice pocket here and a nice pocket here. Okay, so we have this folded. And, come on. There we go. Make sure you got it nice and straight, because you do not want your pages to be all crooked. Alright. So I hope you're following me on those. Here's my pocket there, and my pocket on the inside. Okay, so those are my 2 pockets to the bottom. And then, or I could flip this over and I could have a flap here and a flap here. So whichever way you, I did want to kind of, let's see. Let me look here. This is my page 1. If I flip this, I can either flip it this way and have an upper flap right at the beginning of the book, which I'm not wild about. Yeah. Or I can fold this. Sorry guys, thinking out loud. Fold this like this. there. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I have a flap at the top. And this is going to have to be done just like the other ones, where I'm going to put another 1/4 inch. Well, actually, I'm just going to cut it and give myself a cut line here. And I'm just going to cut it because it's going to be a flap. I don't need the little okay. So, see, just keep thinking it through. So now my first section has a flap on the top. That's my first signature 1/4 inch 4-page. My second signature has no flaps. This is the 2-page, and I'm not going to do any flaps, pockets, anything with that one. My third, I'm doing 2 pockets on the bottom. So I'll go top, bottom, and that way I'll have it all set. And then I'm just going to fold these up and stick them in there. So that's what we're going to do, guys. Hopefully I wasn't too confusing on how to do this. If you've worked mini albums, you pretty much know how to do this. And but again, if you need more information on this or need me to go over it again, just let me know. Thanks, guys. Bye.